everyone. We are less than 1 month away until the May 1st deadline. So the federal student loans, as you know, have been put on a federal forbearance program since March of 2020, middle of March. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, since middle of March 2020 through May 1st. And it has been extended several times. So we are now 30 days, less than 30 days away, and there's still not any clear guidance or policies or decision from the government or the US Department of Education on whether or not they're going to extend that, they're going to cancel any student loans, or just anything, or that the student loans need to 100% absolutely make arrangements to start paying their payments back by May 1st. So we're all left just in a big cloud of uncertainty at this point, which drives me crazy. I'm a planner, so I need to know these things, right? If you're going to make us, I think the average payment was about $350 to $450 a month, depending on, the source you found. That's a big chunk of change just to have to all of a sudden start paying without, like I said, any clear guidance. So there's been several signs that we've seen, some pressures, theories like that, that President Biden or the US Department of Education or Congress will actually extend the forbearance program longer past May 1st, but there's not been anything definitive at this point. So we've got a couple of factors going into effect here, what we're looking at. So we have, first of all, one sign that we thought they are going to extend the program is that currently all of the loans that are in bankruptcy status, the government had also paused going after those delinquent accounts, right? So that was going in, working concurrently with the federal student loan pause, right? So they weren't going after anybody who was in bankruptcy either. So that portion of the law or the policy has actually already been extended to November 1st. So if you have student loans in bankruptcy, they're not going to come after you until at least after November 1st. We have, last week, Biden had put in his budget the student loan cancellation, some money for that. Guess what? He took it out. Okay, so that's a boo sign that, he's not going to push it that way. We still have the rumblings that, well, all Biden has to do is just, with the flick of a pen, make it a policy and get rid of all of it, right? He says he can't. There's some legal documentation that's been out there. The lawyers have looked at what he can and cannot do, but it hasn't been published or available to the average American citizen. So we don't really know if he has power to do that or not. So that's kind of frustrating that they won't tell us. They've looked at it. The attorneys have looked at the policies just to see what Biden's executive authority is, but they won't tell us what it is. The other factor is we have political. So, I'm not going to go too political here, but it does factor into what they possibly will do, the government will do. So there's a lot of rumblings from the Democrats, their constituents saying, hey, we're not going to vote for you if you're not going to do what you said on the campaign trail, either, cancel $10,000 worth of student loans, right? Or at least give us an extension on this temporary pause, right? So that is a factor that's going to play into it as well. There's also rumblings where the Department of Education, someone has come out saying the Department of Education, they can just simply change the policy. They can extend this forbearance program indefinitely. So basically meaning you never have to pay your student loans back, right? So that's a very interesting take I saw this morning. But the frustrating thing is and another thing, we've also heard things from the White House saying the president is looking at these policies. He's going to make a decision soon about it, or he's going to extend the forbearance longer. Well, duh, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it, so, but at least they're acknowledging student loans at this point where they weren't doing that for several months. And as we know, prior to the last extension, the last deadline was January 31st. or February 1st, whatever you want to look at it. I think it was January 31st. So for the couple months leading up to that, Biden was pretty much very adamant about saying, start being prepared to pay your loans, be prepared to pay your loans, prepared to pay your loans. And then at the last minute, I can't remember exactly that timeline, if it was just a couple weeks, but then he came and said, oh, well, we've got the Delta, we've got the Omicron from COVID. People are still rebounding back. We will extend it until May 1st. So we haven't even had that. We haven't even had the last couple months of, oh, well, we need more time because we've, canceled contracts with Navient and there were a couple other companies. So they had to switch millions of federal student loan borrowers to new companies, and that was going to take time with the IT and getting all the accounts set up and things like that. Well, that's not an issue anymore because they've had time and no one's making that an issue. So I don't think that is a reason not to move forward. So that being said, we're just getting mixed signals everywhere. Like, yes, we want to extend the forbearance program, and no, we don't want to extend the forbearance program. We're seeing signs of no, we're not going to cancel the 10,000 or more of the student loan debts. We've seen signs of, well, yes, we've actually made programs to the public service loan forgiveness program. So if you qualify for that, reapply, apply the first time, maybe you can get your student loans forgiven. We've seen lots of lawsuits, fraudulent lawsuits about where maybe marketing, advertising, job promises, degrees that weren't accredited, even though they said they were, so then people can't get jobs after graduating. There's a whole list of universities. I've done several videos on this as they've come out about these different lawsuits where students are going to have their loans forgiven as well. There's just so much out there, but there's no definitive answer at this point. So I hate to be that, I don't want to do a clickbait on the video of like, I've got news for you, but really I have nothing for you. But that's the point, and which is very frustrating for me as well. Because, as we've got kids, you've got families, we all know inflation's going up, gas prices are going up. There's still supply chain issues everywhere. So to pay, the average student loan payment, depending on the source, was about $350 to $450. So wherever you're at in that, if you're in the average, that's still a big chunk of money to be paying out every month for your student loan payments, and have to come up with that. I mean, I think credit card companies still have to send your bill to you like 3 weeks before the due date. And I'm like, okay, that the government needs to give us 3 weeks to start paying our bills right on our due dates as well. So just sorry I don't have any real news for you, but if I do, hopefully something will be coming out in the next couple days. I think it's just a very civic disregard not to let all these millions of people, it's like 30 to 40 million people who have federal student loans, right? There's many ways to look at this, and you want to break down the issue of whether you should or should not do it. I know that there are people in DC that are protesting this week. I just read an article about that. The Debt Collective are saying, right now with inflation going up and gas prices going up, that if the payments restart on May 1st, they're predicting that nearly 8 million people will be pushed into default. So who does that help? The government's still not collecting their money. And in fact, at that point, they're paying employees of these different companies to go after people to pay their money, which they should. In theory, I'm not against that, but what I'm saying is then it's costing the government money to go get money that they're not going to get because people can't afford to pay it, if that makes sense. And then you have 8 million people who are simply dinged on their credit scores and things like that. So anyways, that's all I have today. I hope you have a great day. I hope to see you within the next couple days with news one way or the other that we're either extending the student loan forbearance program, we are getting a student debt cancellation up to a certain amount, or we're getting something, or a decision has been made. All right, I hope you have a great day.